Oh man. So yeah, not long been back from fucking Texas and trying to get all settled in. I thought best thing to do would be throw the stream on for a little bit and just talk about what went down at the awards. So for all of you guys that, because I'd planned on maybe filming and getting some backstage content and stuff. But I just didn't have time because what I was super like looking forward to doing was seeing everyone, like, because they were giving out lifetime achievement awards, right? So a bunch of old school motherfuckers were out there, like DJ Wheat was out there, Sundance was out there, Adam Apicella was out there, Scoots was out there, So we were in the end. I was like, you know what, like, fuck trying to turn this into a content thing or whatever. Let's just fucking enjoy hanging out with people that I rarely get to see anymore these days because we're all too fucking busy. So it was a really good ceremony in terms of what was going on backstage, just the vibe that was there. I actually missed because I flew in and then I was just exhausted because I've been up all night the night before, like working on some shit before I went out. I wanted to clear my workload before I went out for the weekend. And I talked to the esports people, and they were saying, "Oh, it's dinner and drinks tonight." And I went, "Yeah, can I dodge out? Is that all right?" And they said, "Yeah, don't worry, man. Nothing big's going on." That was when they gave out the Lifetime Achievement Awards. So I wasn't even in the room. I didn't even see it. I got told that Scoots made like a super epic long speech. I got told that DJ Wheat did the same. So I missed all of that shit. I didn't get to see Hex get his either, so I was like pretty pissed off, man. But whatever. I saw them all at the bar afterwards, and that's what matters. So it was really good. It was a nice sense of camaraderie. There was lots of people that you don't usually see in the same place all together. So it was nice, man. I had a really good time, no doubt about it. Now, I'm probably not gonna have a good time in the next week or so. Okay. What I wanted to talk about was that speech, and I've been up again all night, which is why I'm drinking Starbucks. It's 8 a.m. for me, and it's why I'm streaming at 8 a.m. because I thought, well, it's the only opportunity to sort of get all this stuff out. But basically, I just want to give you a bit of context, right, as to what was going on. So I was at the awards, and I didn't think I was going to win, right, because, I already got one in 2016. I'm already in the Hall of Fame. I never really cared about awards anyway. Never have. It's never bothered me. I've had them. I've been nominated. I've been robbed. I've been, ignored. Whatever. It doesn't matter, right? The reality is that the work is always, if you're a journalist, the work always has to be its own reward. If it isn't, just don't do it. If you want accolades and pats on the back and celebrations, So when I got the award, I was like, in 2016, I was like really happy about it. It was the first award I'd won in a long, long career and a lot of good stories, despite nominations and everything else. And I was like, okay, cool, that's it for me. And then I got inducted in the Hall of Fame, because if you win, you go in the Hall of Fame. So I was like, okay, yeah, listen. So the problem we had was, the reason, by the way, a lot of people have been accusing the board of like nepotism, and that we all like vote for ourselves, and it's like a big circle jerk and whatever. And it's like, it might be a big circle jerk. I mean, like, award ceremonies are a big circle jerk by definition, right? But the reality is, I couldn't have any input on the Journalist of the Year award. And if I had been able, I'm separate from that. I'm not on that call because I'm nominated. So it's the same for coverage sites. So because of that, that's why Cecilia wasn't on the awards list. I was like, listen, I've even explained that to her, because she tweeted something out saying like I should have been nominated or whatever, and maybe it's because I hate esports that I don't get nominated. It's like, dude, like, no one's written more negative pieces about the shit that goes on in esports than me, across, and just anybody. Nobody has done that, and so it's not about that. But I would have put her forward, but I couldn't because I wasn't able to. So Anyway, I wasn't expecting my name to be called, but I had no idea who it was. And, you know, I had my own opinions as to who should have got it and who would have been worthy. And, you know, and it kind of sucks that, again, like, you know, guys like DK, it's another year they don't get it. It's, you know, and it's another year Fion on Fire doesn't get it. It sucks. It sucks for these people that they don't get these awards, because it would mean a lot. I'm pretty sure it would mean a lot more to them than winning an award would mean to me. You know, I'm just old now. I'm just an old guy. These are still young people with, like, you know, really bright careers ahead of them. You know, I've done, you know, I keep saying it year upon year. Like, probably my best work's behind me now, you know, and maybe I'll get out, maybe I'll do something. I don't know, whatever. But anyway, so I felt really bad. And what happened was they told me before I got up on stage. So they told me about like an hour before. And it's nice of you to say that, Jarek, and I'm glad you're here, brother. But it's like I said on stage, you know, I'm accepting it for everybody. It's not good journalism. Here's the bad boy, actually. I wanted to show it to you so you can see these are pretty fucking cool these time around, to scale. Put it next to a potato with a beard for scale. So it's going to go up there next to that little dog in the background, next to Call of Cthulhu. So anyway, they told me an hour before I went on stage, right? So I'm just kind of sat there, and I'm like, I've won. I've prepared nothing. What the fuck am I going to say? What am I going to do? And I'm sat there, and you know, it's a tough one, because I've spent the whole week, I've spent the start of the weekend, you know, catching up with old friends, and I'm kind of sat there thinking, well, what's important, right? What am I going to get up and say? I'm going to say something important, because I don't give a fuck. I'm just going to say something. And I'm thinking about maybe China, which would have been beyond fucking awkward. That would have been beyond awkward. That would have killed the fucking mood stone dead. So I thought about it, because there were some more stories in the news about these Uyghur Muslim camps and the extent of them. And I was just going to say, like, you know, my original plan at minute 60 was to get up and say, guys, listen, I love everybody in this room, but man, do we have a fucking problem with Chinese money. Why are we addicted to it? We ain't got to be. And I was going to give an impassioned speech to, like, extricate ourselves from Chinese money. Now, that would have definitely killed the mood. I was sat across, there was two tables over from all the politicians as well, by the way. The mayor of Arlington, you know, was there with Democrat and Republican politicians, and I was like, you know what? I don't know about this, buddy. This one, that would probably be seen as, I don't think anyone would have enjoyed that speech. Let's just leave it at that, I guess. And ultimately, you know, what the fuck can we fix? You know, you've just got to take your own personal positions. I'd like to see corporations take a hard stance. American corporations have made it abundantly clear they're never going to go against China. So, you know, what's one man on a stage going to do? And then, you know, after 10, 15 minutes of putting the China thing at the back of my mind and mulling it over, I would pan out. You know, I had a piece of paper that I'd brought with some notes on for the pre-show, because I thought I was going to get interviewed for that, and then I didn't. And on it were, you know, things like, you know, just like general thoughts and concepts, right? That was the bit of paper I took up on stage. And, you know, I sat there and I was just thinking, like, you know, here's one thing that I know we all do have in common in this room. And that is we've all been fucked with by these, like, games press that in 2011 and 2012 at best ignored us. At worst, you know, Kotaku in 2011 was writing pieces about how embarrassing esports was and how nobody wanted to watch it and how it was never going to take off and how the only thing it would ever be used for is cheesy TV shows. And then once their fucking digital media platforms start dying, they're like, hey, we better get into the next thing. But they don't want to come in and in earnest and be good. They want to come in and they want to fuck with everybody in the scene. And they've been openly hostile from day one. And I don't have a friend at the highest level of this industry that hasn't been affected by lies, mischaracterization, smears, hit pieces, whatever you want to call it, right? And then, when I pontificated on that for a while, I sat there and waited a little bit longer. And I started thinking about John, right? Started thinking about all of the fucking ghouls that celebrated Total Biscuit's death, and all the shit they said, and all the lies they told. And I thought, you know what? Nah, this is it, actually. This is it. This is the fucking moment where they're going to put a mic on me. We're being watched in 30 countries. And this is fucking the start of payback. Let's do it. Let's address the elephant in the fucking room. Now, the reason I didn't invoke John's name on stage is because Jenna's not been very well lately. She's had a relapse of her own battle with cancer, and I didn't want to drag that family that's already gone through so much into it again. So that's why I stopped short of saying his name. I wanted to say how much the scene missed him, and how much gaming missed him, and how he's still more relevant after his death than any of these fucking ghastly, awful human beings that masquerade as journalists are. I wanted to say all that, but it would have probably brought up a bunch of negative attention for Jenna, and I wasn't gonna do that. That's not my style. If it was something we could have, if it was planned, and I could have like asked permission, or yeah, sure. But I'm not gonna force somebody else to be in the spotlight without running stuff by them. So anyway, I just sat there stewing about it, just stewing and just thinking like, you know what, these fucking people, man, like they fucked with everybody. They've legit fucked with everybody in esports. They've tried to have Duncan fired, every event that he works now seems to be a regular thing. They've gone after me. They lied saying I had a violent past and all this crazy shit. They've called me a misogynist. They've called me a fucking Nazi. They've gone after Doc. They've gone after Ninja. They've gone after, pretty much any big streamer that they can piggyback on. They've wrote absolute garbage. They barely break any stories. All they do is document every time anyone makes a mistake and then demand that these people are cancelled forever without adding any of the quantifying qualities that they bring to the space. And a lot of it isn't even accurate. And that's the thing. It's lies. It's like when they called John a harasser. It's bullshit. He decried that a million times over. It's like when they said John was a Gamergate supporter. He never said anything beyond, maybe people asking about ethics in games journalism have a point. That was it. That was the extent of his involvement. And they've never let him forget it. And they've spat on his grave and wrecked his legacy every chance they've had. Every day since. Even when he was in a battle with cancer and he was still alive, they never let up. They never relented. They actually liked the fact that he might be weak. That's how fucking evil these people are. So I got all these thoughts going through my mind. Just before I get up there, and man, when they read my name, it still sort of hadn't sunk in what was about to happen. So I'm like, oh, fuck. So I've got my paper, and I'm walking up, and I'm going past all the tables, all the people I've been hanging out with the day before, Sundance, Hex, Nade Shot, all of these dudes. Everyone's like patting me on the back, fist bumps. You got, I'm trying to think who else. The NRG guys, Brett from NRG's there, Andy Miller's there from, the NRG San Francisco shock dudes. And walk past, everyone's like, yeah, whoop, giving me like pats on the backs and shit. And I'm like, this is fucking, and you just, the rush of adrenaline because I'm about to drop the fucking bomb. And I'm like, this is probably going to go down like a fart in an elevator. This is going to go over really bad because everyone in the room hates these dudes, but everyone in the room is relying in a way for these dudes, because we all like it when it's positive press. We all like it when they publish a press release about one of our announcements and stuff. And equally as well, some of them are even afraid of these dudes. They don't want to be the next person in the crosshairs. So I'm getting up there. I pull out the paper, and I ain't gonna lie, I'm not nervous. I'm a frequent public speaker. I'm a good public speaker. But I am shaking like a shitting dog. There's no two fucking ways about it. I was like, adrenaline spiked. Because it's still, I can still get out of it, you see. And still get out of it. I don't have to say this. I mean, I have to say it, but I don't have to say it. And then I realize as well, in the moment, just as I'm about to do it, oh shit. Mitch is here, right? Like, so Uber is an Overwatch commentator. And Overwatch, and in general Activision Blizzard, fucking hate me. So I have immediately now, and I really like that dude. So, we're pals. He always supports my work and everything. So I'm like, if I bring Mitch into this, because they didn't have a mic stand up there. I'd asked for a mic stand to be up there, so nobody else had to be, so they could just fucking bail. But I couldn't hold the paper, because I was shaking so much, couldn't hold the paper and the microphone. So I had to bring Mitch in, and basically relegated him to being a mic stand. So he's in the shot. He's in the fucking entire video sat there. And I'm like, that was why I hugged him afterwards, because I said, like, I'm so sorry if you get embroiled in any of this shit. I'm so sorry if you get embroiled in any of this shit. I was just like hugging him, like, I'm so sorry if you get in trouble over something I said, like, please, like, send him my way, So, and he just said, no, fucking great speech, buddy, because he's an Aussie, and he don't give a fuck. So, I've said it. It's just floating out there in the room. And, when I was up on stage, and like I said, I was like really zoned out as I was giving the speech. I couldn't see. I don't know if I couldn't see because of the lights, or if I just wasn't paying attention. But I didn't see anyone stand up. I didn't even see Doc stand up. I didn't see the mid-speech ovation. I didn't see the end ovation. I couldn't hear the clapping. I was just in the fucking moment. And the speech, I didn't even read the good ending I had, and I jumbled up a few things. It was kind of like just out of it. Like I said, it was all just not smudged printer paper. And then I just went backstage, right? And backstage, so here's what happens when you go backstage after you win an award. They say, follow me, and you get taken. So I immediately have no frame of reference about how this has gone over in the room. And they take you for your media commitments, and you've got to take photographs. And here's me holding the award. And I went straight to doing questions with the assembled press that were in the press room. So I did like a few interviews. I was like sweating, like super hot, like just, thinking, what have I done? What have I done? What's going on? And then they say, oh, okay, you can go back to your table now, after another 30, 40 minutes. And somebody comes and gets me, and they lead me into the room, and I'm like, oh, fucking hell, like, how bad is this going to be, And immediately, when I sat down, people started coming up to me, like, oh, thank God you fucking said it. Thank God you said it. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, nice to meet you. One of the fucking people from the politicians table, I don't even know which one, but like, again, a prominent politician came up and went, in our line of work, we have a problem with journalists all the time. It's good to know Esports is in the same place, and you give them hell. I was like, oh yeah, thanks, got my vote, And then it was just, just loads of people like just coming up, man, just fucking people from, like all the strata of gaming, like, with the exception, like maybe the young kids, like anyone who'd been in it a few years was just coming up saying, oh, and yeah, I remember one time, my company gave a statement to Polygon and they cut all of it out except like one sentence and ran with that. And yeah, fuck them, good on you. And then the most surreal moment was, the Dr. Disrespect come over. Now, I've met him before and like had like conversations with him, obviously, like, very briefly, you know, seen him at a few things, most prominently at the Esports Awards. And, you know, just like, yep, you all right? Good to see you, Doc, you know? And Doc came over to the fucking table and he was just like, man, what a fucking speech. Like, those guys, they've made my life fucking unbelievable, you know, going after me, like writing all these like crazy hit pieces. Just good on you. And like firm handshakes, believe it. And then he introduced me to his wife and we were talking. She said, like, great speech, you know, like they've really, you know, been going after us and making our lives difficult. And it's good to see someone like brave enough to speak out about it. So it was like, it was fucking surreal. Like, it was surreal. And then just like I say, you know, we got through the event and then we went to the after party. And man, I was like trying to catch up with everybody, but like everybody wanted to come up and like share a story, you know, like, and it just kind of felt like it was just like one big catharsis for a lot of people in the room. And I didn't realize, and I never watch footage of myself, like I never watch my own shit, but you know, I somebody showed me the footage of the speech in the bar we went to for the after party. We had like a VIP section, and we had a fucking bowling alley and all this. Everyone was getting shit-faced. Somebody, I can't remember who, brought over the phone and said, no, look what happened when you made the speech. And like I saw fucking Heck stand up, and I saw Doc stand up, and saw, you know, there was other people there, and then I saw at the end, you know, where the first two rows of tables fucking stood up, and I was like, holy fucking shit. So it was like really surreal. And then what was also crazy was in real time, because I could feel my phone was like, brrr, brrr, like just, and I was like, fuck, turning this off. And I didn't check social media that night. I just thought it'll ruin the night because I didn't think it was going to be blowing up with positives. I thought it was going to be blowing up with negatives. So, you know, the way I sort of consoled myself with it all was to basically like say, you know, hey, you know, they're going to write the hit pieces. The journalists are going to write the hit pieces. The smears and the lies are coming. We all know they're coming this week. You cannot criticize journalists these days without them retaliating against you. I mean, that's just a fact. It's just how they operate now. They're a cabal of people that just, they all sit together on their little slacks and they just coordinate hit pieces against anybody that ever criticizes them. And they're going to do it to me. And we all know what they're going to say. We all know what they're going to say. You know, I was talking to somebody about it, and they were going, oh, how much can they do? Are there any skeletons in your closet? I went, motherfucker, all my skeletons are in my driveway. Like, everybody knows what they are. Everybody can see them. But they're going to take another run at it, you know? So, anyway. So, yeah, they went, so I went out that night. And another interesting thing, actually, just so you guys know, people said, holy shit, Syndicate was giving him a standing ovation. Obviously, you remember Syndicate, T. Martin, CSGO Lotto. Listen, fuck, man. I mean, I've already talked to Syndicate about this. And I've always tried to make it clear to people that what they did was an FTC violation. It was an abuse of trust. It was very misguided. And they definitely paid for it. The FTC can check in on them anytime, can ask for their financial records anytime for like the next 4 years. They took a fine. A lot of people said it was a slap on the wrist. It wasn't. It's about as much as the FTC can do to anybody. And I've always wanted to make it clear to people that, yes, they did deceive their audience, but they never rigged any roles. And they offered to give all of the records from every role and every, you know, like they were completely open and transparent. That was one thing they didn't do. And then, of course, the Phantom Lord story is where we get to the next level of shit like that going on. You know, Phantom Lord and the Mo CSGO Diamond story. By comparison to that, the CSGO Lotto thing is fairly trivial, even if it was the thing that lit the torch paper. And Syndicate came up to me afterwards. And we've talked a few times, and we we were going to do an interview, and then the FTC thing went down, and he said, I don't want to make it flare up again. I'm actually doing really well moving past it. So totally respect it, mate. You know, you do you, right? Like, you still got to eat. You fucked up. You know, you take your licks, you pay for it. It's not like T. Martin, you know? Like, T. Martin immediately went from CSGO Lotto into promoting a pyramid scheme. Syndicate left CSGO Lotto, took the FTC fine on the chin, and then just never got involved with anything like that again. I think he's a good dude, deep down. So, anyway, Syndicate came up to me, and I was like, oh, well. And, you know, we've all had a drink, so this could be fucking weird. And he comes up to me, and he just went, listen, mate, saw you win your award, great speech. Just want to let you know I really respect you, and one of the things where you were always fair to me, even when you were harsh, you were fair. And I respect that. He said, like, I've got to respect you as a man. You fucking listen to me. You wrote it up right. You've always been fair. It was a hard time, but, you know, it's probably what I deserved. But you never took it further than that. And we had a bro shake, and we had a drink with each other. And I was like, fuck, this has been a pretty good night. This has been a night of fucking, you know, validation for doing journalism the right way for all of these years. And the thing that I always hate is when somebody does something bad, and it might be like a one-off thing, but it's too important to ignore, you know, like the iBuyPower match fixing thing. You end up, you know, you end up having a hugely negative impact on their lives by virtue of telling the truth, on the basis that their needs do not outweigh the needs of everybody else in the scene, in the community, what everybody else needs to know. But what you then see a few years after a story is whether or not they can bounce back. Like, there's no redemption arc for Phantom Lord because he's still not willing to admit he did anything wrong. With Syndicate, like, it was very clear to me he regrets it. He's never going to do anything like that again. He hasn't done anything like that again. And when I see messages mischaracterizing him on Twitter and saying, you know, you're a scam, you rigged roles and stuff like this, it makes me sad because, you know, I was one of the people that sort of investigated all of that stuff and highlighted all of that stuff. So, but anyway, you know, so just for the record, like, Syndicate was really cool, and a really nice guy, and I'm glad that we had a really positive, healthy relationship, even though he's been, you know, in my crosshairs, so to speak, for a little bit. I'm trying to think what else happened. I mean, yeah, just to underline that point, actually, I got a message from Swag, you know, and of all the people to say, you know, great job, you totally deserved it, love all your journalism, keep it up, man. I was just like, oh, this hurts, dude. Like, it fucking hurts, you know, and like, but, yeah, it's like, there was a lot of fucking plaudits, man, like, a lot of great little moments. But anyway, like I said, I went back, and, you know, we had a great night. I didn't drink too much, because, you know, I didn't want to, you know, I didn't want to be hungover, and plus I wanted to make sure when everyone gets fucked up at after parties, I take on a like pretty paternal role. I make sure everybody gets back to their hotel room. You know, I look after Henry, you know, whatever it is. Which also, by the way, shit, I should mention that because I don't know if anybody saw Henry's speech. I don't know how many people saw Henry's speech, which really moved me. That also put me in a off kilter emotionally off kilter. Before I went up there, because he got up on stage, he wins caster of the year, you know, the best caster in any game, you know, in any esport for 2019. Super happy for him. And Henry gets up on stage and he goes, well, I can't believe it, you know, it's a great night for me. He wasn't sat on my table, see, he ended up sat with the kid that won Fortnite, Booga. He was sat on his table with all of Booga's family and Henry G. And he was like saying, He felt really weird because he was like just polishing off fucking beers in front of the family, and they were like obviously trying to make small talk, like, "Oh, so do you live in London, do you?" And he's going, "Yeah." And he said he drank all of the alcohol that was on that fucking table because obviously the kid can't have it, the family didn't want to have it, so he just kept drinking like, yep, Counter-Strike, yep. So anyway, when he won the award, I just saw him get up. And he gets up on stage and he goes, you know, great to win this award. It's been a long journey. There's one person that, you know, I want to give a shout out to, and that, you know, I pretty much owe my entire career to, and it's Richard Lewis. And I was like, oh, fucking hell, man, Henry, don't hit me with the fucking feels. I got problems of my own. I got to get up and drop a fucking nuclear bomb on this motherfucking award ceremony in a minute. Don't make me fucking cry. And he went on a big story about, you know, again, like, you know, how I was like the first guy to give him a mic back in like 2011 or whatever the fuck it was, and we used to cast together and stuff. So he did that. You know, basically fucking gave me a big, like, you know, his entire speech was pretty much about me and him and how we'd come up together. And you know, and a little bit about Scoots and other people that had helped him out. So he gets off stage. So that was another element to it. So Henry comes off stage, and I'm sat there like, fuck, like trying to get my, you know, trying to get all my emotions in check. You know, I'm thinking about John. Henry's dropped an emotional bomb on me. I've got to say something really awkward and difficult. Yeah, it was. There was a lot going on before I got up on stage. That's why I was like shaking, like fuck, man. I was like, oh dear, lots going on. But anyway, yeah. So I made sure Henry got to bed, and then anyway, I wake up the next morning, and I'm like astounded. The reaction that I was getting was insane. Like it was, I you know, I had thousands of, you know, well, I mean, first of all, from the speech being made to me waking up the next morning, I'd gained something like 4,000 Twitter followers, which is always like, uh-oh. And then there was just thousands of responses, like just thousands of responses to, you know, good on you, Richard. And it was like almost all of it overwhelmingly positive. We're going to go into the re. There's been a little re from the usual sources. We'll have a laugh at that in a sec. But it was just everybody was just pretty positive, you know. Like Livestream fails hate me over there for some reason because I'm not enough of an incel to be liked by the incels over there, and I'm certainly not enough of a fucking radical lefty to be liked by the radical lefties over there. They're the only two groups. There aren't any groups that like me over there. So that Livestream fail thread being upvoted and having like a 50-50 split to positive negative comments was like, wow, like outrageous. Then there was the the reset era thread where they're all making up lies and half truths and that, which is fine. I mean, if you're not despised by reset era, are you real? You know, that's another question. But we'll see where that goes, because obviously reset era does have a penchant for doxing people and harassing people. So we'll see how that one works out. But in general, just overwhelmingly positive, you know. So yeah, it was a good time, man. Like I you know, I'm not gonna like sit here huffing the smell of my own farts. Like I move on straight to the next thing. I've spent, since I got back from Texas, I actually have written a 6,000 word diatribe. Hang on, actually, I might be putting this out now. Just messaging the Deserto boys on the Slack. Oh, and yeah, and that's another thing that we'll talk about just before I get into the Deserto winning esports coverage site of the year. Again, a lot of people were like, well, Thorin writes for them, and Richard Lewis writes for them, and the panel, again, we can't vote on that. So, you know, they did it on their own merits. I mean, the reality is, who would you give it to? Like, HLTV is a really good coverage site, but it only does CSGO. You know, it was a toss-up for me this. Like, ESPN have won it last year. For me, it was a toss-up between Deserto because, you know, and again, it's irrelevant what I think, but I just tell you my own thoughts. It was a toss-up between Deserto because they made a concerted effort to hire, you know, DK, me, Thorin, you know, all these, like, really solid esports writers. And we've, as a result, broken a lot of stories, and including some of the biggest of the year. You know, if you're gonna say my work is worthy of me winning Journalist of the Year, then the publisher that publishes that has to be in contention for coverage site of the year. That just makes sense. Yes, Stu Shu, another one. But the other one would be the Score Esports. Now, I always poke a little bit of fun at the Score because, first of all, they have done a couple of dodgy videos. Like, we all had fun about the one about the OK symbol, sure. We all laughed about that. But in general, and the other thing that I poke fun at them about is I mentioned in, like, almost every The Score Esports video, it's like, please, like, just come and get me, like, just pay me thousands and I'll, a month and I'm there, dudes. Like, but they, I was like, and this story from Fifth Lauren featuring an interview from Richard Lewis, and this story about Rick Fox featuring an interview from Richard Lewis, latest developments in match fixing because of investigations done by Richard Lewis. And you're like, okay, cool, I get it, right? Like, the latest in the Tfue lawsuit in documents that were first reported on by Richard Lewis. It's like, okay, dudes, this is really cool, but like, if you want, we could just sit on a Discord together and I'll tell you, and we'll just make it quick, So I poke fun at them, but honestly, they do great work. The videos are good, very easily digestible. It's given me a lot of thoughts about how I shape my content moving forward and the type of content I'm going to start doing on YouTube moving forward. Because I think I'd be silly not to take advantage of this sudden influx of attention. But anyway, so it was between the Score or Deserto for me, and Deserto won. So we all got to go out and party. And it meant a lot to Deserto, and I know it drove a lot of people mad, because Deserto do publish clickbait. They know they publish clickbait. But you have to understand, if you want to be a profitable publication, you are going to have to publish clickbait now and then. But as long as you're still breaking big stories, and we know it's like, the headline says, you'll never guess what this streamer found in his soup. And it's a clip of something from Livestream Fails and somebody, there's a dead frog in my soup. And then they write like 100 words to, and people click on that shit when they see it flying around Facebook or Twitter or Reddit, like people click on that shit. And that helps generate the revenue that pays people like me that give you the real shit. A lot of people said, the websites you call out are nowhere near as bad as Deserto. And I'm going, no. But they pretty much, where esports is concerned, they only publish the clickbait. They don't break stories. You have an entire group of people who all they do is rewrite Reddit posts, tweets. Oh, did somebody say something bad on a stream? Quick! Let's write about that. And that's their entire output. They don't break anything. They don't help anyone. Like I said, that was why Cecilia's like the standout at Kotaku. I mean, as it happens, by the way, I'm pretty sure she's not going to be pleased at being mentioned in my speech at all. Because deep down, even though we've had convivial, conversations in the past, she obviously hates me. I mean, they all hate me. They all hate me because I'm the antithesis of what they are. They're talking about my white male privilege when they come from ultra privileged middle to upper class backgrounds, living in big coastal cities. I'm a working class piece of shit raised by a single mother on a fucking council estate in a mining town that had to scrape just to get to college. Spent periods fucking homeless, and I don't subscribe to their very rigid, dogmatic worldview, and you have to if you want to be in that group.